Hello, it's Duncan. I've done something silly. Instead of asking an AI to remove the warnings and duplication in our multi-project Gradle build, I tried doing it by hand. To paraphrase Robert Strauss, when it comes to fighting with Gradle, you don't stop when you're tired, you stop when Gradle is tired. I fear you're going to see another Duncan sense of humour failure with Gradle. We left our Gilded Rose project, having just split our Gradle build into two sub-projects. We have the app project here that has its own build.gradle.kts. Here it is. You can see that it loads various plugins here, and then here is the rest of the build. And also in here for test app, we have a build.gradle.kts. And this also has a set of plugins, not all the ones in our app, but they are duplicated. So they both have Java and Kotlin and so on. Now that left us with a little problem, which is that if we build this, so if we say /Gradle w clean build, things happen. It builds everything, it runs some tests, including, I hope, there we go, some browser tests, courtesy of Playwright. That's quite cool. Everything builds and runs nicely. If I scroll this up and have a look at the top, we have this error message here. The Kotlin Gradle plugin was loaded multiple times in different subprojects, which is not supported and may break the build. It goes on to say, please add the Kotlin plugin to the common parent project or the root project, then remove the versions in the subprojects. If the parent project does not need the plugin, add apply false to the plugin line. So what does that mean? Well, it's asking for a parent project, which is the thing at the top here, the root with this settings.gradle. And this settings.gradle, which Gradle looks for to find the root of a multi-project build, already it turns out has this plugins block, but I don't think really it should have. That seems a bit of an aberration. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to go to the top and we're going to say create me a new file, which is going to be root build.gradle.kts. And we'll add that, and we'll try taking the bits from settings.gradle, take this plugins block out of here and put it into the root one, which is this one currently empty. Now we have a bit of a problem because this was Gradle and this is Kotlin script. I guess we can fix that by looking to see how we do plugins in here. We'd say ID, We need to change those to be Kotlin-y ones and put that in there like that. Oh, but the version, maybe I should have asked somebody else to do that. But something like that. Silly quotes. There we go. I can't honestly remember what we were doing with this plugin. Maybe I should go and watch my own video. Okay then, returning to this, it says, please add the Kotlin plugin to the common parent project or the root project. We now have a common parent project. I suppose we should check that that does actually build. Let's rerun that. Oh, there you go. Failed to apply the plugin. Plugin's ID must be configured in settings.gradle, not in build.gradle. That's just another random thing, isn't it? Great. Oh well, let's then just undo in here. And then in the settings.gradle we'll undo as well. So we should be quietly confident that that will build. Let's check. It does, and of course we haven't fixed this problem here. Back to our app.gradle, and it says we should be taking this plugin from here and putting it into our build.gradle at the root. So in fact I'm going to cut it out of here and I'm going to paste it into here, but it needs to be in a plugins block. And it goes on to say here that we can add apply false to the plugin line. So we'll say apply false. And now maybe we can go to our build.gradle KTSs in these places and take out the, well, we deleted it from there. And where's the other one? The other one is in our test app. And maybe we can take it out of there. Let's try that. Oh, great. What do we have then? API. Well, that's just random gibberish, isn't it? API is not dependencies deprecated. This is not something. And where? KTS in here. Okay, so it's complaining. The only change we've made is to take out the Kotlin, and it's now complaining about this API thing here. Sigh, Gradle. Okay, then with a little scratching on my head, I realized that I do still need to apply the plugin in the subprojects, because in the root project, here it is, we said apply false. So this basically, I think, allows us to just load the plugin into memory in some sort of way so that it's only loaded once and then actually say we're going to be using it here and in our app. That allows us to have no errors in our build, apart from some strange flyaway migrate issues. And of course, the inevitable deprecated Gradle features making it incompatible with the next version. Never mind, let's commit that with, well, let's see whether AI Assistant can get it right. Fix plugin order in app build script and add root build file, reordered, la la la. Really wasn't the gist, was it? Okay, so I'm just going to say fix Kotlin plugin error in build by loading in root build Gradle KTS. But wait a minute, where's the change to our test one? That's there, alias libs. Of course, that was what this file looked like. In fact, I guess that's true here as well. If we diff that, all we've actually done here is change the order. So now what we've actually done is added this plugins to preload in some sort of way, the Kotlin plugin. Okay, so that is true. Let's commit it. Good. Okay then. Whilst that's got rid of that error, it hasn't got rid of duplication in our build scripts. So our app build script is on the left here, and our test app build script is on the right, and they both apply the Java plugin, and they both apply the Kotlin plugin and the versions and task info. That's there, there, and there. I suppose we could move that up to make it more obvious. Move that one down. And they both have the same group and version. They both define repositories to be Maven Central. And then after the dependencies, which are different between the two of them, down the bottom here, you can see that both configure tests to use JUnit, both configure Java to UB21, and both configure the Kotlin compiler to use context receivers. Now, the recommended way of removing this duplication these days is with the Gradle convention plugin. Now, we've already seen plugins. They are these things up here in this plugin block that allow Gradle to know about Java and Kotlin and versions and so on and so on. But it turns out we can define our own, and we can define our own just for this project. In order to do so, we create a build source directory. So I'll create a directory here, and it's called build src. And if I do that and then create a new file in here, which is its own build.gradle.kts, then this build.gradle.kts allows us to build a plugin within build source. Does that make sense? Now, for reasons that I don't understand, this build needs us to declare plugins and that we want the Kotlin DSL plugin. You might think that it would know on account of the fact that this is a build.gradle.kts, but apparently not. And in addition, I've got some other little rubbish over here that I'm just going to paste in. Now, IntelliJ seems to be terminally confused here. It's not really understanding this. I don't know why. Maybe let's ask Gradle to re-import things and see how we do. The request of this plugin could not be satisfied because something, something, something. What is that? Gradle? Build.gradle.kts. There we are. Gilded Rose, build.gradle.kts. Wait a minute, this was just working a moment ago. I fear you're going to see another Duncan sense of humour failure with Gradle. Let's go to the command line and ask it to build. And I'm going to run test. No. What's its problem? Build.gradle. The request of this plugin cannot be satisfied because the plugin is already on the class path with an unknown version, so compatibility cannot be checked. Am I going crazy? I'm going to undo all these, roll everything back. And now let's try building again. That's happy. Build on the command line. That all seems fine. Okay, I'm going to go forward a bit more slowly. We're going to create a new file called build.gradle.kts, which we're going to add to Git. And we're going to give it a plugins block. And as per the instructions, we'll add Kotlin DSL. There we go. Let's try building just that. Okay, that seems happy. Oh, but then something happened, cannot resolve internal dependency because no repositories are defined. That seems to be IntelliJ building, but Gradle is still happy, apparently. Okay, I don't know what's going on here at all. It's build source dependencies that has some problem, apparently. I wonder whether this is the place where I need the dependencies that I randomly found on the internet. That's those ones. Let's try that. Okay, apparently. So now can we build here? No, we cannot. And we cannot because we don't have any repositories defined. So let's just do that in here with repositories Maven Central. And now try again. And now, here we go. The request this plugin cannot be satisfied because the plugin is already used on the class path with an unknown version, so compatibility cannot be checked. I assume that's because we have this version here. Maybe I'll take that out. But we haven't put it on the class path. Gradle did put it on the class path, I assume, for the top level, but it just hasn't bothered for our build source for some reason. Who knows? Try again. No. Error resolving plugin. I don't know. Okay, what I've done is I've asked AI Assistant, how do I fix this error resolving plugin? And it says this error typically occurs because the Kotlin Gradle plugin is already included on the class path and is causing a conflict. It likely happens because of an internal dependency from the Kotlin DSL plugin. Why the conflict occurs, says things, suggest fixes. And it basically says to remove this line from your dependencies. Now, I think I just put that in to get anything working at all, but let's take it out again and see how we do. Try to build. Well, that's apparently successful. I'll have to review the tape to see why I put that in, but let's just see whether IntelliJ thinks it can build. And it does. Good. Well, let's go forward if we can. So we go back to our project, and inside our build source, we can add a source main Kotlin. So say new directory, and source main Kotlin will be the source for the plugin that we are about to create. So there we go. And then in here, we're going to create a new file called, and it's going to be a Kotlin file, and we're going to call it kotlin-conventions.gradle.kts. And I believe that this Kotlin conventions is going to be the name of our plugin. So that's just going to be a file for now, which we will add to Git. And because things are going so well, I'm going to try a little build to see that's okay. Every time, of course, I'm having to clean just in case, but things seem to be all right. And now this is basically just a plain old build file. So we may be able to get away with saying plugins and that I want my Java plugin. Issue here. I got the file name wrong. Let's just rename that to BKTS for Kotlin script. Try that. And now we're saying that we want to build a plugin where the plugin invokes the Java plugin. Some other issue with the build here, but let's see whether Gradle is happy in the meantime. It isn't unhappy, which is maybe as good as we can expect. And now let's go to one of our normal builds. So we will look in app build.gradle.kts. Here we are. And now we should be able to reference our plugin in this plugins block. So we're going to say this is a plugin with ID, and this is our Kotlin conventions. Oh, which we get completion for. Now, if we're right, invoking this plugin will invoke the Java plugin. So that maybe, just maybe, we can remove that from there. IntelliJ is not very happy, but let's see where the Gradle is. You can see there it was building the build source, doing some other stuff, and, well, it does appear to be more happy at least than IntelliJ. So if we're right, we could take this thing here and move it also into our build.gradle.kts from our test app. And instead of Java there, we could do that. Is that true? Good. No idea why IntelliJ is so upset. Maybe we'll ask it to re-import Gradle, and maybe that will do something. I'm going to try build from IntelliJ, see whether it's happy enough. And you'd think that it would be, but we have broken something somewhere. No such method error. Properties collection key. Kotlin script experimental. Oh dear. Just report it, I suppose. Will it build a second time? No. Can it run our tests? Apparently yes, although I would have expected it to have to build before it did that. Normally, who knows? before I start crying and end this episode, I think I'm just going to see whether we can take, for example, these repositories. This defines where the repositories are for our dependencies. I think we should be able to take that out of both of these test apps and put it into our convention. Now, it's not the build for our convention, it is this other file. Where was it? That one there. So I think I might be able to do that. And that might still work, at least as far as Gradle is concerned. And does. And now I think I might also be able to take the configuration of Java and the test tasks across. So let's take those two, cut them out of there, and say again, those are part of our conventions that we want tests to use JUnit and Java to use 21. More trouble in paradise over there, but never mind. Our other test app has also got those lines in it, so we should be able to take those out of there. And that should build. And that does build. So let's review before we go any further. What have we done? We've created this build source, inside which there's this build.gradle.kts that says how we want to be building our plugin. Then that plugin is in this Kotlin conventions.gradle.kts, which says that the plugin will apply the Java plugin and tell whatever projects it's included in that their repositories are Maven Central, that their test tasks should be using JUnit, and that Java should be using Java 21. And that means then that here, for example, we can pull in the Kotlin conventions plugin, although it currently has nothing to do with Kotlin particularly, but that means that we can remove these repositories, and it means that we can remove the configuration of the tests and Java. And we've done the same thing in here. So I think I'm going to commit this. I don't think I'm brave enough to push it, but I'm going to commit it with extract a build conventions plugin work in progress. Let's commit. Okay then, on a bit of a whim, I restarted IntelliJ and it now seems to be a lot more happy. I can build. Oh, until then. Let's try running some tests anyway. Yes, they're happy. Well, at least it isn't full of red, even if I can't actually do the build for some strange reason. Well, I think I'm going to push my luck then and see whether we can't get this Kotlin's conventions.gradle.kts to actually have something to do with Kotlin. Now, given how well this is going, you may find it hard to believe, but I have actually tried this before. What we need to do in here is put in a reference to the Kotlin plugin. In our other places like here, we use an alias. So we could try taking that and put it into here. But you'll see here that our source doesn't know anything about the libs. That's a bit of a blow. I have seen a cunning plan for fixing that we may look at later. But for now, at least, I think we could just say that we want Kotlin on the JVM. Let's see how that does with a command line build. Oh, and that's died, and it's saying that our precompiled script plugin line 1 failed because it couldn't find any of the following sources. And one of the things it goes on to say is plugin dependency must include a version number for this source. Now, I don't know how to do that there, but my previous experience suggests that it might be something to do with the class path of the build source itself. And in fact, it may be to do with that. So I'm going to try putting that back, whatever it was. Bit of a random walk. Let's see whether we can build that. And that probably got us further because it's now failing in our production build.gradle.kts, complaining about the request this plugin could not be satisfied because it's already on the class path with an unknown version. So again, as a bit of a random walk, I'm going to put the version of the Kotlin compiler that I want in here, which was 2.0.21, according to our libs versions.toml, I think. 2021, yes. Okay, does that build? No. I think that's a different error message. Oh, no, it isn't. So let's click that out because I'm not honestly sure what it's doing for us. But thinking it through, this issue here is line 1 on build.gradle here. So this is the place where we were loading the Kotlin plugin before we do any of our normal builds. That's the thing we did at the beginning. But now we have a convention plugin, I think maybe we don't need to do that. So I'm going to take that out of there, and while I'm there, I'm going to go to say that now the Kotlin conventions plugin will be doing this job as well, and the same in here. Just possible. Let's go back to here and run that. And we have actually got as far as flyaway migrate. That's great. Compile Kotlin. Oh, another error. Right. Roots KT 78 cannot access parameter is internal in HPVK core. Now this particular error does seem to be to do with the version of Kotlin, and we can fix that by putting the version in here. So that was 2.0.21. Note that we have a version in this libs here, but it's now unused because our convention plugin can't use these libs. So our point of truth of the Kotlin compiler that's used by Gradle is, I believe, this one here, the Kotlin Gradle plugin version. Shall we see? Woohoo! Browser tests, which means that everything has built. Finally. Good. I think we'd better check that in. Just to remind ourselves what we've done. We have an unversioned file of some compiler crash. Delete that. And now at our root level here, we no longer need to load a particular version of the Kotlin plugin in our root because our conventions plugin is loading it for us, and the version that it's getting is defined by its pulling in of this dependency here, which is the Kotlin Gradle plugin, whatever that means. But now our individual build.gradles here can use the Kotlin plugin from the Kotlin conventions. It's driving me nuts. Let's check it in while we can. And I think this is now extract a build conventions plugin. I think I'm going to risk just an amend commit there. Good. Just check that IntelliJ can actually build. Command F9. No, it can't. Never mind. Can it run the tests? Yes, it can. And I believe that actually requires a build. So I don't know quite what's going on with IntelliJ. But I think we've all suffered enough for today. And just seeing whether an update of IntelliJ will fix that. Nothing to see here. Go about your business. Okay, there's a new version. Command F9. Oh, indexing, of course. And it's still broken. Well, my homework for this week can be to see why on earth that is. It may be, I suppose, that I need a newer version of the Kotlin Gradle plugin or something. If you'd like to see whether I have any hair left after that process, then please subscribe to the channel. You could click the like button to torture me by suggesting you want more Gradle content, or maybe just be kind to me and buy the book that I wrote in that price called Java to Kotlin, a Refactoring Guidebook, details of which are in the show notes below. Thanks for watching.